Listeners, my tour has begun, and as we're recording this before the first date, I'm delighted by how sold out London was, and how brilliant and also sold out Bristol definitely probably was. And although this is a stressful time, I'm excited to share with you this silly old show that I've been working on for a year. Was this a bit ambitious to book a tour on the vibe that I could probably do it? And not the, you have a viable following that will definitely buy tickets? Well, who knows? All I do know is that maybe this is the only tour where the support act makes more... All I do know is this might be the only tour where the support act makes more money than the act themselves. But listeners, I'm relaxed, chilled, and incredibly positive about the tour. I've not been waking up at 4 a.m. asking questions like, what if you're the only person on earth who finds this show funny? Or do the people of Nottingham hate me? Or who even lives in Falmouth anyway? What were you thinking? Anyway, all I can say is I'm proud of the show. I'm proud of the fact it's coming to Falmouth on the 31st of January, Edinburgh on the 5th of February, Glasgow on the 6th of February, Nottingham on the 13th of February, Salford on the 14th of February, Liverpool on the 15th of February, Brighton on the 6th of March, and Norwich on the 7th of March. And I'm of course proud that student and NHS discount is available at some of these dates depending on whether the venues have got back to me requesting them to be added. And if you are coming to Glasgow and Edinburgh and are a student or NHS worker, you can just add the code NHS8 or Student8 in capital letters at the checkout. It really is as simple as that. Welcome to the show, listeners.
This has been a vehicle for you to tout your wares.
Oh, tout our wares. I'm tracking you with me.
I can't wait to make more money than you on the tour.
At the moment, it's looking like you will. And I'm fine with that. It's cool. Just hoping for good merch sales.
You shouldn't have agreed to my...
Merch that I, at the time of recording, haven't made yet.
You shouldn't have agreed to my rider of £4,000 a show.
Yes, that was a big error, considering that is definitely not the amount I could make at any single show.
So we should probably discuss the tour. I mean, we can read into the intro as to how you're feeling.
I'm feeling fine and really relaxed and calm about it, Emslie. I don't know what you mean.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, couldn't be more chilled or calm about it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, that's that then. That's the tour chat.
I think my tone of voice... No, I'm... at the time of recording, so obviously the shows haven't happened yet, so I haven't had the release of a good show.
may never come.
It might not come. But when this with Edinburgh, the first show is where you're like, oh God, what if no one comes?
Yeah,
all that sort of stuff. I'm feeling that, but with every single date, because everything is a bit of a new experience. And I can't. The difference with a tour is that at Edinburgh you can just send more people out onto the streets. I can't do that with a tour. I just have to hope that people find the tickets.
Yeah, but you're doing... My point to you has been you are doing everything to try and add. And if the one thing that you do adds one ticket, well then...
One ticket may not be enough to salvage some of these dates.
Of course, but you need to think...
Why didn't I book a tour in Bournemouth? Bournemouth? In Birmingham?
Well, sure. If online feedback's anything to go by, Birmingham would have sold out.
Birmingham would have fantastic. Yes, I did try. If you are listening from Birmingham,
they didn't give
it to me. They didn't give it to me.
That does happen quite a lot.
And they didn't
comedy.
give me the date that would have corresponded with the Midlands date.
Yes, that does happen quite a lot though. That it's really interesting. Fans will be like, "Why aren't you performing here?" And you're like, "Well, the place just it couldn't fit me in." It didn't happen. Yeah, it couldn't fit me in. They'd already done their roster.
Do I wish Nottingham was in Birmingham right now? Yeah, sure I do. I wish it was closer.
One of my favourite moments from 2024 was when we went away on holiday, and we got on the plane. We went to Crete. No, we didn't.
This might not be my favourite time.
No, it's not at all. But we went away to Greece. We both put our phones in airplane mode. And you were like, I don't want any tour chat.
No tour chat.
I was like, fine, not a problem.
I need a week off of the tour. That's what I said.
We landed in Greece. You turned your phone on and it said, hello in Greek. And then you got an email from Nottingham that said, you sold no tickets. And you just went, oh, fucking hell.
How dare you? One ticket was sold.
Sorry,
at that
one
point.
ticket.
I can say there are more than that now, if you are planning to come to Nottingham. It's not just going to be you. There has been some ticket sales.
No, it's definitely.
Thank God.
It's definitely gone up.
It's trickling up. That's the word I'd use. Trickle. It's been a lovely steady trickle everywhere.
It really just made me chuckle. No tour chat. We agreed. We shook hands. I tell you what, I loved our setup on the plane as well. We sat either side of the aisle.
Yeah, I'm not sure if anyone else has done that.
Oh!
I mean, I imagine they have. 'Cause we haven't invented that as a seating arrangement. But instead of being next to each other on the same side, we liked this. We got leg room.
It was fantastic. I'm just going to...
What a sentence.
I'm going to skip over that.
Thank you. That's what a good friend does in times of crisis.
I loved it, and I got my little puzzle book out, and I was doing crosswords, and you were looking over occasionally.
Because I hadn't had the foresight to get puzzle books or any entertainment. You know what they call that when you go on a plane without any entertainment?
Yeah, I don't like it.
No, okay. But I did that.
Yeah, but you didn't.
I raw dogged it.
You didn't, though.
No, because I interrupted your flight. Emslie on board.
Because you went... Do you know when someone's got a bag of crisps at a table and you're really hungry and you're sort of looking over like, yeah, I wouldn't mind a crisp.
Yeah.
You basically did that.
I wouldn't mind a puzzle.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a crossword. I wouldn't
mind a little crossword clue.
And I was like...
Because all that's going on in my head is that no sales of tickets in Nottingham.
Do you remember the people who sat next to me on the plane had an argument with the steward?
Oh, yeah, that was a nice...
Have I made that up?
No, I think that's...
The flight attendant.
A flight attendant.
Yeah.
But also, awkward way to start, wasn't it?
Oh, so awkward.
It's really awkward overhearing, like, the other day... Do you know when... This hadn't happened to me, but I know other people had this, where a toddler was being an arsehole.
Oh, yeah.
And then the mum used me.
Yeah.
It finally happened to me, where they went... That man's going to be really annoyed with you if you do that. And I was like,
that man doesn't like kids. He didn't like you anyway, mate.
That man was annoyed that you were here. But, you know, I by the way, don't mind kids. Just probably won't have them. Anyway, I've have enough friends with them to have made that assessment. Maybe I will be happier without them. But yeah, I got dragged into that. And it's always awkward when you see feuds in public, isn't it?
What did you do?
I gave him a little wing and go, carry on, mate, you little scamp. No, I didn't.
Of course you didn't.
I didn't, no, I just ignored everything. Wandered by and pretended I was listening to my music.
The London way.
That's what I do whenever I have that, or... I'm not going to say that. So that's a self-edit then. But yes, I'm a lovely person. But I'm not going to parent your child. If you can't be bothered.
I think that's the motto.
The idea is like, you can't be bothered to parent your child. You're not going to drag me into this. I didn't get you pregnant.
He didn't.
I didn't. Very important. It wouldn't have happened. Impossible, actually. That would be a surprise.
Oh, another thigh slap from me.
Another thigh slap. You love a little thigh slap.
I do.
There you go, listeners. That's my thigh.
It's something that my... in my head I was trying to write a joke about Wi-Fi. Do you know you said that's my thigh?
You were trying to do Wi-Fi.
I was trying to say a sentence and also write a joke about Wi-Fi in my head, and I just sort of got stumbled across it.
Well, I love those moments where you're sort of trying to keep the ball in the air.
Yeah.
You're trying to keep the ball in the air.
The ball dropped.
And to be honest, I wasn't helping you there. I was like, go on, make this funny.
I remember my dad, he would really like his comedy. He would sit and he would laugh loudly on the sofa, and he'd like slap the cushions. That was his like, I'm loving this,
but I'm not going to injure myself in the process.
yeah. It was the thinking man's way to slap your thigh.
I love that a lot.
And I remember watching him as a kid and being like, this is wild. Who does that? And now I slap my thigh if I like. So it's crept up on me.
It's the word hereditary, right?
Is that good?
Hereditary always feels bad, doesn't it? But I don't really know. Like,
enjoy your glaucoma. Thank you.
Yes, but anyway, Happy New Year. You took a sip when I said something mildly amusing, listeners.
Yeah,
you weren't expecting that. You thought I was safe.
Yes, have we finished your tour chat? Is there any other tour
Yeah, I mean,
related?
the listeners will get so bored of it, but basically, same thing applies. Quite stressed by tickets.
I always find... So obviously, this podcast isn't a veiled attempt for you to sell... Obviously, it's handy to sell tickets, sure.
It's not a bad platform.
One little pet peeve that I have, and I don't know why I have it, and sometimes you just have these things that annoy you, and you just have to accept and go, I'm in the wrong... I'm excited
for what you're going to say now.
One thing that pisses me off is stars who go on Graham Norton when they are so obviously selling something.
Do you know
or not
what?
just Graham Norton, sorry.
I really love Graham Norton. I love him as an interviewer, but I cannot stand actors when they're on that sofa. Do you know what I mean? Because they're all trying to like come up with this incredible story that they've obviously pre-planned beforehand. I know that's how interviews tend to work anyway, but it's also sort of manufactured, and it's like, oh, look how interesting I could possibly be. And everyone seems to be... I just feel so false.
There is a fantastic episode of Nathan For You. Nathan Fielder is a Canadian comic actor where he basically tries to write the perfect anecdote for a talk show, and he's like, it has to involve death, it has to involve some mix-up at an airport, because he's watched it.
Fantastic.
It's so good, and it reminds me of that. Like,
is it? Have you got an episode number, or is it just an episode?
It's no, I don't have the number. I will find it, and we can put it in the notes, but it is so good, and it's just him basically saying what you've just said of, they've all got the perfect anecdote, the perfect...
It's just so false, isn't it? It's so glossy, and I think there was a time when it can't just be actors on the sofa. That I think is the problem. It needs someone who's better in the moment, who can sort of shake things up a bit.
I think they do try and do that. My problem is I don't want to watch a show where all you're trying to do, where everyone on the sofa gets their 10 minutes to go, please buy my book. Because that is effectively it, right? I would like a couple of people to go, I'm famous. That's wild. I'm just here for fun.
I think Miriam Margolyes is that for the Graham Norton show. Yeah. She often got a book or something, but she's often just crops up because she's just brilliant entertainment.
It's just my pet peeve of, I remember watching after the Olympics. Now hear me out. After the Olympics...
Nothing you've said so far is controversial for me to be worried.
Jonathan Ross.
Have you heard of the Olympics? Don't worry.
So Jonathan Ross, after the Olympics, Mo Farah was on it. And Jonathan Ross interviewed Mo Farah, and pretty much, I'm not going to say every single answer, but pretty much all answers was, well, you'll find out the answer to whether me and my brother chat is still in my book. And I thought, why the fuck did you come on? You may as well have sent him an email.
Give some of it away.
I thought you may as well sent an email saying, can you buy my book, please?
I love Emslie's soapbox. Can we make this a regular feature?
But I just thought, come on.
Yeah, I don't like that. And often if on podcasts as well, it's like Adam Buxton podcast. Excellent podcast.
Yeah.
He does brilliant, genuine, lovely interviews that are really well thought out, really well researched as well. He properly knows about his guest. He occasionally gets one where he doesn't... It's not his fault, by the way. There'll just be a celebrity that all they want to do is put their book or their next show or like two in every single answer, and it's just not the format of that interview show is so not that. It's really about a deep dive into their career, whatever their thoughts, whatever, and it really grinds my gears when I hear like that. This isn't the podcast for that. Go on Graham Norton, go on the One Show.
Turns out my pet peeve, and I appreciate those shows wouldn't exist if people didn't have stuff to sell.
Wouldn't it be lovely if the One Show didn't exist?
I don't watch the One Show, but
everyone.
I think it's very well liked.
Yes, I know it is, but also, God, it's dull. Have you ever sat for an episode?
I quite like the sort of change in tone.
Yeah, we all love the gear shifts of death to like. So you've got a book about, I don't know. Come on. Yes, you've got a book about the Andes. And they're like, yeah.
But I just think...
That wasn't a good enough. But I tried, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. I just think it's very much my problem, and the show is extremely popular, and I fully get that people have to go on to sell stuff, and that's how you get those big stars. But there is a part of me, it's like, it would be nice to have the odd person on, just as like...
I'm just having a good time. It does occasionally happen.
Yeah.
It does occasionally happen. Like, I think... And this is where podcasts are better, I think. Actually, Louis Theroux has that issue now. Is that he's talking to these big actors, but often they have just got a new Hollywood film that's coming out.
Well, that's how he gets them.
And Louis Theroux is one of the masters of getting underneath the skin of a person and really getting to know them. But I don't know if his podcast really does that as well as his documentaries did. I love how we've gotten into a sort of TV and podcast critique again.
Yeah,
sorry everyone.
Yeah, seems to be the way. You were going to chat about the gym this week.
I was, because we're talking about what we do in our weeks, and this week has been the first week back from the gym at time of recording from the New Year's vibe, and I keep falling in love with people in the gym.
Yes.
Tell
me more.
I'm not sure if this is a thing for anyone else, and I would love listeners to get in touch. I did a sketch about this. I have about 3 or 4 gym crushes on rotation.
Same people?
Yes, the same people that come, and actually they sort of weirdly are a similar time to me. So often I'll be like, oh, gym crush number 2 is in, because I don't know their names. But I've seen them from a distance, and I like their vibe. There was one I saw, so one of the crushes, I just loved the way he talked to someone. Like, he just seemed like a nice person. Yeah. I was like, oh, you seem lovely. And that's gym crush number 1. He is the ultra gym crush. But of course, you never talk to these people. However, Emslie, something happened this week.
Based on what you've said, I'm guessing you spoke to one of them.
I shagged one. No, I didn't. That really didn't happen. No, I did speak to one of them. So gym crush number 3, that's a lie. Gym crush number 3, I did speak to briefly. He looks a bit like Novak Djokovic, but slightly more handsome. And I spoke to him briefly, asking where the little end bits for the barbells are, so the weights don't fall off.
You're looking at me as if I'm going to know the answer to that.
But I did talk to him briefly.
In a shop?
Today I asked, well, not today, it was yesterday, but I asked for one to spot me.
And what does that mean?
So basically, I was benching a weight that I think was ambitious.
Right, and benching means?
And benching means when you do a bench press, so it's quite hard to explain without visually sort of showing.
You lay down?
But you lay down on your back, you've got a bar across your chest, and you are basically just pushing it up and down again with your arms and chest.
Yes.
Right? I've been really enjoying that recently, but I thought, right, I really want to push myself. Gym crush number 1, wandered past. And I went, I don't suppose you could spot me. And the rush of, like, butterflies. I genuinely felt like I'd found love.
Is he gay?
No, probably not. They never are.
It's not.
Oh, no, it's like when you fall in love on the tube.
You don't know.
But you try and guess what nationality they are.
And you build the backstory,
and you build the backstory.
So,
like,
did he spot you?
He did, and he did have... he just seemed really friendly, and he was like, oh, go on, mate. This is great. It's good that you're pushing yourself. He was really encouraging. And I was like, this guy's amazing.
That's very sweet.
I was like, and I felt like proper, like, because I've always been scared of people in the gym, and I just do my own thing. Occasionally, you'll have a sort of a quick glance at someone that you've regularly gym in a similar vicinity of. You sort of give them I gym with in the same place as you do, not. yeah. But this guy, I was like, oh, I hope we speak again. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I hope we speak again.
Did you ask his name?
He's got a wedding ring. Anyway, that doesn't always stop them.
You can still be friends.
Yeah, I didn't ask his name. I was too sort of flustered by the moment, to be honest.
And did you lift the weight?
I lift the weights brilliantly. Of course. There's no bigger pressure than fancying the person that's spotting
you kind of in that situation.
I'm going to fucking do this so well now.
As a horrible vein pops out on your head.
It's not a good face. The sort of the what's it called? The bench press face.
Well, that's good. How heavy was it? 30 kilos?
No. Do you know what? I can say this now. It was 92.5 kilograms.
Wow.
So that is...
What, on each arm?
Not 90, not 180.
Right.
That'd be...
Oh, they're not... those sort.
No, they're not dumbbells.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
You went very Mr. Mime then.
Yeah, I did. I sort of went very old school.
No, it's the barbell. So it's the big long bell.
Charles turns out you did get to know him.
I love you. You are my best friend. But yes, I didn't catch his name. I will still look at him from afar and just briefly remember the moment where he helped me lift 92.5.
But surely now
2 reps, if you're wondering, gym bros.
Surely now God, gym bros aren't listening to this. Can you imagine?
Yeah, there are a few homosexuals, and they're all broadly quite into the gym.
As you said that into your cup.
Not all of them. And that's fine.
Now you have done that and you've struck up a conversation, surely next time he might ask you to spot him. Is that a thing?
Well, it's the first time I've ever asked for a spot, because I've always been a bit nervous about that. So for me, the gym has been an incremental sort of... It's very much like CBT. Going there in the first place was a bit of like oh my God, I'm doing it. Then I got a PT to help me with
CBT therapy.
For those who haven't got a broken brain like
just not
most comedians. But yeah, I sort of... Going to the gym was the hard bit. Then I got a personal trainer to help me learn the things. And it's just been incrementally getting more and more comfortable with it. And that was the first time I'd asked for a spot, and I'm excited about it because I see people do it and I go, the bravery of someone asking for a spot to a random human.
Is it the sort of thing that he would ask you? Or was he
I think he's...
Was he like, well done, bye-bye?
I'm going to be honest, I don't think he needs my help. Well, everyone can have a spot. It doesn't matter how strong you are, because you're always trying to push yourself at the gym. Gym chat.
Look at that.
I've become a gym guy. I really love it.
Look at us. Put us in the fitness niche, please, for podcasts.
The niche. I feel that's been covered by quite a lot of challenging people.
Maybe they need one from somebody who's learning at the gym and somebody who doesn't want to ever go to a gym.
Don't worry, I have pitched that to another comedian.
What?
Sorry. No, still they do this. This is the main one, obviously.
Who? Actually, it might be worth not saying in case
I'm not going to say, because
no.
he was sort of like, yeah, maybe, which I think we all know is like a maybe later.
Which is what I said to you about this.
He's a nutritionist, and it sort of made sense.
What, a comic who's a nutritionist?
Yeah. He's a lovely chap.
Well,
but watch this space, everyone.
This might be changing.
This show might be changing. God, imagine how boring that may be. Yeah, it's quite hard to make fitness interesting, as you may have just witnessed.
But I think people are interested. What I would be interested in somebody who's imperfect at it. I don't want to hear from the best person. And I appreciate with something like lifting and stuff, there's a hell of a lot of health and safety, and you can't have someone like bend your back, flop your wrists.
Oh yeah, there is technique to it, but it's also, there's a thing called ego lifting. Have you heard of that?
No, God no.
So it's where you lift heavier than you really can, but you're doing it to sort of go, look how heavy I'm lifting, and that if you get out of that habit early, then you will be fine.
I think my point is that I would much prefer to hear from somebody who's given it a go and on that journey, as opposed to somebody who is absolutely brilliant at it, because there's room for someone who's brilliant at it, because you want to speak to and hear about Olympians. But also, if you're at level nothing at the gym, well then listening to somebody at level 100, is levels a thing at the gym?
I think, it's very much like Pokemon. There are some people I've seen go to the gym. There was a guy in the old gym I used to go to, would go every single week, and he wasn't a pro at it in any shape, but you could see his development over like 6 months.
Yeah.
And it is really encouraging. That's the bit I like about the gym, is the sort of like let's get better
progress.
at this. And for me, it's a thing where I like the challenge of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a tangible thing where you've got a number to improvement, which may or may not be a positive thing, but I like that as a driver, in the same way that like when I run, I like to run to a time, because it makes it more fun for me.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm not.
You can happily run at without mapping.
Yeah, I'm not too fussed. I remember over COVID, everyone was banging it on Strava, and I joined it briefly, and I was like, I don't want this. Like, I don't want to.
You don't want to gamify your runs.
Yeah,
you just want to run to run.
I just sort of want to run, and often I'll run without. Actually, that's not true. I quite like to have some sort of either music or podcast. I tried it running without, and I was like, oh, this feels quite long.
Do you know people who say they're going on an easy run? I don't think I've ever been on an easy run. I tried to do an easy run the other day where I just ran at a much lower pace. I was absolutely fucking shattered at the end of it.
But
I don't think it exists.
I think
it was way slower and still as hard.
But I think your natural tendency is to speed up. That's why those guided runs are quite good, because they pop in occasionally and they go, whoa, hang on, are you?
You're in the elite area here, and you aren't.
I'm never.
Move backwards. Come on, I do like a park run though. That's a nice vibe.
I've never done a park run. I've done a couple of 10Ks, but I've never done a park run.
Park run's great. It's just lots of people of varying levels just having a run. It is a really nice vibe. It feels a bit culty. When you go there, everyone's like, park run, as they sort of praise to the Lord of Park Run. But it's genuinely quite a nice vibe. And what I tended to do in Western, there's the same person that seems to be there every time I go and do it in Western with my dad. So my dad does it, he's 70, I do it, I'm 35. People do it at the age of like 14.
Do you run with him?
I do for a bit, but we are at different paces because he's 70, bless him, and I'm bless him. Bless him for being 70. But there's this one female runner who runs a really good pace, and she's way faster than me. But if I try and sort of, I don't try and maintain that gap. I just try and not drift away. If I could just drift slightly slower each time I go to the Western, it's the same person. She's unbelievably good at running, and I just sort of slowly drift away. But if I can just stay close enough, I know I'm going to be on for a good time for me. And I'm not a big runner.
Doing my 10Ks, and this wasn't very common, and it's something that I should probably do more. I would say I'm not particularly competitive anymore. I would say I used to be competitive. But when you're in a race setting, and obviously this race is a race that you've signed up to be, so it's not actually a race, it's just you're running 10K. When you see someone in front of you, you are like, yeah, I'll just get past him. And then you're like, well, I'll get past them as well. It's mad how
It's amazing how badly you can misconstrue a person's ability based on visual. And that is your biggest error at parkrun. If you see someone who you think is slightly older, that's always the one, because the older people are quite good at running. If you think you can pass them, you'll see them pass you at sort of a rate of knots, really.
I just think it's interesting that I happily go on a run now and I'm not fussed about times, anything, whereas I get to one of those and you're like, oh well, I'll speed past them, and then you're like, well, I'm knackered.
I did run my best ever time at a park run, but that was again me trying to sort of keep up with said woman who was just I don't know her name, but every time
that's a theme for you.
Yeah, I just look at people from a distance. Is that creepy? I don't know. Don't write in. But yes, that's a bit of sport chat. Maybe we should manoeuvre ourselves away from sport chat.
Yes.
Have you got anything else you wanted to discuss, Emslie? I've thrown you under the bus there, because I just wanted a sip of water.
So, I found out that I've been getting a saying right, but I thought it was about something else.
Okay, talk to me, because I'm going to call it the king of getting sayings wrong and muddled.
I'm going to call it
which if I'm going to be honest, even that sentence there was kind of ironic because I didn't get it quite right.
Making ends meet. Now,
so is making ends, as in the ends of things, meet in the middle?
Sure.
So is that right?
That is correct. So
that's how I had. But this is where it could have been one of those where it's like it's actually not ends, it's ends, and it's you know when you're like, oh, it's fucking one of those saying, oh, it's one of the ones where you don't actually know.
When nobody
word.
Really knows the
What's
word.
One of those? It's, fucking hell, Joe.
I wouldn't worry. But I've always assumed that it was so making ends meet as well. The bit that's important is the meat. You're making two things meet in the middle. I've always assumed it was meat, as in sausages.
So just making that last.
I always thought it was like... I always assumed it was related to bringing home the bacon. So bringing home the bacon is a phrase which means bringing home money. And then I just assumed that led on to making ends meet.
You thought there was links between sayings?
I just assumed that...
They were brothers from another area.
Oh, dear. And then... So I've just always assumed that.
Oh, dear. It was so unbelievably cutting. That was such a cutting...
So anyway, it's actually making ends meet. As in, I believe it's to do with making two frayed ends of knots. It's to do with somehow making money... last.
Wow, you should put that on Wikipedia.
But I thought I was, oh no, I've been thinking this wrong thing the whole time, and I've been saying the right thing, which has been okay. And because I sort of was close with the context, I was all right. I told some friends this, and a friend lent in, and they said, "Oh, I thought it was making hens meet."
That's adorable.
And I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, I thought it was bringing two chickens
hens
together.
And notably frugal.
But they were like, I thought it was bringing two chickens together. And I was like, okay.
That's so adorable.
It's very sweet, isn't it?
Oh, I'm trying to think of an example where the word is not what you think. Like, for instance, the word chimney. I was all aboard the chimney train. Do you know what I mean? The chimney on the train. I've noticed recently, Emslie, that my voice notes have been getting longer.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you listen to them at 2 times speed, which, by the way, I think is mad.
I don't listen to the 2 times speed.
2 times speed, like I listened to something on 2 times speed the other day, and I thought, I think I'm having a breakdown.
I listen to them on 1.5 times speed because everything is still there. However, on the occasion that it reverts back to 1 times speed, I always think, God, Parsons down.
Sounds depressed.
That's
down. Just my normal voice.
He's down today. And then I go, oh no, he's not in 1.5.
So if you're worried about me, you just go, oh, I'm just going to put him into 1.5 so he sounds a bit chirpier.
You can be talking about the most harrowing thing.
That's good friend. Emslie. Just going to talk about the tour. Pop that up to 1.5.
1.5. I just think, I do podcasts that I have an interest in.
So I would never listen to any media at any other speed than it's desired to be. The 0 speed.
1.2 speed is great for podcasts where people leave a lot of pauses.
I've never even noticed that.
1.2 is great. Anything above that is too much for me. But pretty much all podcasts, apart from 1 or 2, I listen to at normal speed.
So you actually listen to do you watch YouTube videos at?
Oh, what 1.25?
Oh wow!
Why? Let's cut through it. As somebody who does YouTube, get it moving.
Really? I mean, unfortunately, I don't pay for it, so I get 100 million adverts every single time I watch anything slightly long form
on YouTube.
Yeah, and I just one day I'll be like, I will watch this platform enough to pay for it, but I just don't watch it enough. I'm not of that era. I think I'm just at the edge of the YouTube era.
There feels like the fact that it also came out when we were younger. And it was always free. There's something a bit galling about being, I'm not paying for this.
Paying for YouTube, that's a free thing. I deserve this. I've worked the hard yards to be a YouTube guy. I was with you
at the start.
I wasn't making stuff or giving you any money, but I was watching it on occasion.
I was with you at the start when it was a dating site. Did you know that?
I have heard this
I thought it was my... Move on.
You almost flipped the table, listeners. Got very angry there.
I thought it was my one big thing.
I bet there will be loads of listeners who wouldn't have known that.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell them who don't know?
No, they can
more
Google
about
it.
That?
They can Google it.
Fair enough. That is very much our podcast. A brief. Yeah, we'll just let them deal with that.
Yeah.
We'll put out a fact or not fact quite confidently and hope that the listeners or watchers Google it.
I remember being in high school, so it would have probably been, definitely between year 7 and year 11. I remember being stood outside a physics class, and I remember Merrill saying to me, have you seen this video on YouTube? And I remember going, whoa, what?
Video on a YouTube?
And I was like, no, say those words again. And she was like, YouTube. And I was like, no, individually, what word? I just couldn't figure it out. I was like, what words are they? And she was like, YouTube.
God, she must have been really, really tired of you.
And I had to write it down.
You had to write it down?
And then I was like, but these words don't fit together.
How are you with Facebook?
Anyway.
Or any brand name.
Went home that evening, loved it.
Loved it. That's a review of the YouTube.
I loved it.
YouTube from the early noughties.
Loved it. How do we get onto YouTube?
I don't know. I think I was talking about how long my voice notes have been, and just basically sorry about that.
Oh, I like a long voice note.
We haven't had any voice notes of the week, but they all come at some stage.
Yeah, I think as we've mentioned on that though, they need to be organic. There's no point us.
To be honest, there's not been a lot of fun chat on there recently. It's been.
If you wanted to hear more tour chat, we could have put one in. But
God, this poor boy, he goes through the ringer for
recently, and I don't mind it at all. But recently, the voice notes have been for 8 minutes, and then you go, sorry, that was more of a to-do list for me, but it was good to get it out of my own head.
People listening who hate voice notes must think that's like their nightmare. It's just me just spurting words. Sometimes you do that, to be fair, back. It's not just me doing that to you. So I do want to just put that out there, actually, that it's a two-way street on that one.
Oh, I don't mind. There we go.
There we go. That no one can deny that is a podcast.
That is an episode.
It was an episode. It was episode 9. We've done 9 weeks of this now.
9. I think what we're going to do as well is we don't want to promise too much,
but discussions are being had, listeners and watchers.
We are thinking about adding some features come episode 10.
There will be features, so it's not just going to be us waffling on. There's going to be game. I didn't want to make that plural just in case we don't have another feature.
I'm hoping that the listeners love the behind the scenes that they're getting from us.
Yeah, well, if they didn't, this is a podcast where it's loosey-goosey.
Absolutely. And so by the time we next record, I don't think this is giving anything away. We record two in a day. We meet because we're busy. And by the time we next record, I would have had some tour shows. We will have had tour shows, and then we're on tour together, and so we'll probably try and do some of them whilst we're on tour.
Yes.
So the look and vibe might be different, But the chat will be also sweet.
Yes, we will be doing some away from London.
An away fixture.
Oh,
in a Premier Inn.
So, oh God, we've got the hotels that I've put that on the old negative imbalance.
Anyway,
it's fine. They're all just expenses, listeners.
Thank you so much to everybody who has been listening, who has been watching. It's very much appreciated. We have had a lovely time doing these. And it
sounds like you're going to wrap this up entirely.
Goodbye forever.
It's fine. I'm going to get another person in to talk about fitness.
Yeah.
He's just there. he's waiting. It's been a joy so far. I will be hopefully less stressed when we next talk. What a weird sip. Hopefully I'll be less stressed. Will be slightly less tour chat. But do buy tickets to the remaining fixtures.
There'll be some tour chat, but we've had a lovely time. And any questions, anything, please pop them in. It's always fun for us to answer stuff, or
drop us a DM. Basically, if you want to, drop us a DM
on Instagram. Who cares about the others? And on Instagram, it's Parsons and Emslie.
There we go. You can watch YouTube if you haven't already. You can subscribe as well. Just press that little bell if you are watching this for the first time. That little bell there. You can also rate and review us as long as those are positive. Yeah. You can also, as I said, buy tickets to the tour. But apart from that, it's always a pleasure.
Never a chore.
Be good to yourselves.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Bye.